it's Halloween night, let's play a horror game.
Right.
Have a couple of months of game time to...
You could do both, really. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't, do a Halloween campaign that takes up to, 2-3 months, and then everybody dies before Halloween. Well, shit, now it's Halloween, we got nothing to do. Let's do a one-off. We all go to the woods. Somebody starts dying,
My idea for a hunter campaign was to use the slasher Dead Camper Lake scenario, and then whoever survived became hunters.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a cool
That
idea,
would be
too.
good.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could make a long-term campaign out of that for sure. That would be fun.
I think what you should do...
As long as you don't go past 5 seasons and it gets too old.
Right.
I think what you should do is you should just play it, present it to everyone as a regular campaign, and then, in September, October, be like, oh yeah, by the way, this just turned into a Halloween campaign, and your characters are probably going to die.
I think
You don't even say that. Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let it happen. That'd be cool.
My problem with a one-off, one-night campaign is then you wind up with what I did when I came back on leave once and we were playing Star Wars. I played the first Star Wars suicide bomber.
Yeah. First rebel suicide bomber.
Yes, I played the first rebel suicide bomber.
Blew all his starting money on thermal detonators in a vest.
Yeah, and the ability to make explosives. And we went into the final encounter, and I took out almost the entire building.
Okay, barring that you have someone like you playing in the campaign that is absolutely batshit insane, it could still work.
No, that's just Greg working out some demons.
Hey,
Being on leave.
That's also known as every day for Greg.
we're on good speaking terms now. I don't want to hear it.
Who, me and you?
No,
his
me
demon.
and my demons.
Oh, okay. I was like, what'd I do?
Going back to injecting horror, it doesn't have to be something you do all the time. You could do, let's say you're playing, whatever. Let's say you're playing Hackmaster, and you're doing, like you say, you do a regular campaign, and then you turn it dark for just a little bit. Maybe kill off a couple of characters, and then you move on to something more traditional. If you throw things like that every once in a while into a game that is not branded horror, I think it's much more effective in scaring the players.
Or a way to hack off your players.
Well, that's true too, but
We're sitting here playing D&D, all of a sudden I get taken out by a vampire.
Well, that's kind of part and parcel with D&D, though.
No.
Sure it is.
No.
Tomb of Horrors? Die Vecna Die?
Not going.
Not going.
well, you're talking about
You tell me that
Death
we're going
Trap.
to...
Then you may not be playing. That's the problem.
That's the thing. I was like, okay, if I'm a real life adventurer, if I'm an Indiana Jones type of guy, and somebody says, I want to pay you so many whatever to go to a place called the Tomb of Horrors, I'm not going.
Depends on the money.
Then you're not really an adventurer, are you?
Indiana Jones went to the Temple of Doom, so I
Exactly.
mean...
Exactly.
He was shanghaied into the Temple of Doom. Though.
Yeah, that...
The crazy old Indian folks said, you're going to go to this
And he
castle
faced-
and get our rock.
When you sent the message earlier that we were going to do horror, all I could think about was being in junior high and taking a girl to a movie and intentionally going to horror movies so you could get your arms around her.
Oh, so they
Sorry.
Well, that's kind of how the original Evil Dead movie got made.
Well, I grew up in the mid-'80s, so that was what you did. You took your girlfriend to see Nightmare on Elm Street.
Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and those guys, when they were going to make their movie, they went around to the various drive-ins and whatnot, and then went to see what kind of movies people were going to see. And horror movies was it. And that's why they wrote and made Evil Dead.
Cool.
See, now I think that would make a fun game if you did, not an Evil Dead game, but if you did a Army of Darkness game.
Well, see,
that could be a fun
I was
campaign.
gonna bring up, you said play it as a joke. Shannon, you said we could do it as a joke. Play a campy horror game.
I would
Yeah.
absolutely love that 100%.
It's like, I don't like horror movies. I love the Evil Dead movies. Those are
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
I think that if they were to make a movie of most horror games, they would be campy. So another horror game that I did want to bring up in this is Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu, I think, if you play it straight up, is potentially the best horror game you could play. Because, like Mike says, the characters are underprepared.
Yes.
Or not prepared at all.
Right.
And the things that you are fighting or going up against are so bad, you have virtually no chance of winning. Whoever's never played the Call of Cthulhu game, the basis of the game is that you're going up against things that are so vile and evil that your character is destined for death or madness.
Yes.
No character in that game ever gets away from that.
Essentially, any H.P. Lovecraft story is like that.
Right, exactly. And
So it's built in that it's not going to be a long-term campaign.
right. The one time that I play, I've only played Call of Cthulhu a couple of times.
And I think I played with you both times.
No,
No, because one time it was when the year that only Eric and I went to Gen Con.
and
okay.
Deuce's friend ran it for all of us. And when we finished, one of the guys said, "I can't believe that this is the first time we've ever played Call of Cthulhu and nobody died." Because anytime they play, usually at least most of the group dies. Because it is just that, you're just that outmatched.
Wasn't that his fault?
I don't think so. I think he was just,
I think he did a good job.
yeah, he told a really good story. It was just that, that's the way it came out. But I think if you want to play a true horror game, I think that's probably the best one you can do. Because that one is the only one where you can really fear for your character's death. And even if you don't die, you're probably better off dying because of some of the crap that you have to deal with.
Usually, like you said, you're playing characters that aren't adventurers. They're not looking for that kind of stuff. I
Right.
think the baddest character I've ever played in a Cthulhu game was a gangster.
Mike played a flapper once, and didn't you play a
Like
flapper?
a flapper girl?
The
Like,
flapper.
Because
usually
it's
plays
all set in
girls.
the 1920s.
Didn't Mike also once play Greg?
Was it Call of Cthulhu? You
I'm pretty sure it was called Cthulhu.
Oh,
'Cause I think John and I were the two dope heads that were working at the local theater, and Mike was our PO, and he named him Greg.
That was in a game of Fiasco.
Was it? No,
No, that wasn't Fiasco.
No, this
Was
was
it?
years ago.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
certain.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in that game, so
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That might be an awesome Halloween show to do Call of Cthulhu live play.
well, it's definitely possible. Chill is kind of the same way. We haven't played Chill in a really long
I
time.
think that was our first horror game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's one of those games where you're just playing a regular person, and you're dealing with weird crap.
Didn't we play? That was an Egyptian campaign in Carbondale in '93 or '94, and I think
That
we played
one-
high school kids, didn't we?
No, we were college kids. We were all,
College kids.
it was because we were playing in a college and we were playing college age characters. And I believe the very next year you and Brian went and you got into the same game or with the same game master, but it was completely different because they were using magic cards.
Oh
that-
man, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember you because I was living somewhere else, and I remember you
You're in
telling me
Reno.
about it. And you guys said no, it wasn't good at all because they incorporated magic cards into it.
Yeah, if I turn up at a game at Gen Con and I think I'm about to play whatever, and the guy starts handing out magic cards, I'm gonna walk away
With his magic
after I've punched him in the nose.
with his magic cards.
Right, I'm taking his magic cards.
I'll take them.
How many Gen Cons we've been to? And how many noses have been punched? 0.
Nobody will actually tell me where R.A. Salvatore is.
I think you're all talking no hat. That's what I'm saying.
Find me R.A. Salvatore.
Since I missed the challenge episode, Mark, I challenge you to punch someone in the nose at Gen Con this year.
Well, you know what though? I will say this. One of my, and I know that I'm the resident noob, but the most fun I've had yet playing was the first game that I ever played was the Dresden File game. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really understand the concept of the game, didn't know a whole lot about the Dresden Files at all.
Right.
And so I'm just I was the guy in the horror movie where you go, oh, the dumbass is going to do this.
Right.
I didn't know any better. So we're in the middle of this ballroom and the main character that we're trying to kill opens up this portal to another dimension and jumps right through it. And I go, I'll follow him. And I just hopped right through.
Right.
And both Mark and Greg both, son of a bitch, now we got to follow him. They did not want to do
That was
that.
Kyle and Greg. I was running the game.
Well, either way, nobody wanted to do it. They had to follow me in. If anybody else had been playing with experience, they probably wouldn't have done that.
Well, that's true. Or you always need somebody to pull the levers, though.
Yeah.
And to open up the chest without checking for traps. You always have to have that guy.
Yeah.
And that's a good role for you, Dave.
You can do it by accident. Jay does it on purpose.
Yeah. In Monster Hunter, one of the overarching themes is the Elder Gods. And it, in my opinion, does leave a window for introducing some Cthulhu-esque themes to the game.
Right.
You could turn something Monster Hunter International into a horror game, but you'd have to use something very powerful to do it because looking at the game, they're pretty stout characters to begin with, and they seem to be pretty ready for a lot of things.
Well, because Monster Hunter, the gist of the organization, they don't just bring anybody in.
Right.
No, flexible minds, and they're common characters. In the book, one of the main characters is an accountant, but once you get into his twisted upbringing, you realize that he's kind of raised by a special forces survivalist and kind of a crazy thing like that. One of the other main characters was a school teacher. who
One was a stripper.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's normal characters, but they've been through some harrowing experience, which has given them additional experience, and they go through basically a boot camp for however long they determine it to take for you to be viable or you to quit.
And speaking of Monster Hunter International again, I want to know what the Puff Bounty on Cthulhu is.
It's special. The puff table in the game, there's a lot that are listed as special, like werewolves, are listed as special because it's based on age and how many people they may have killed and things like that.
What are you talking about?
Okay, thank you. The puff table is the Perpetual Unearthly Forces Fund, which in this game in this setting was set up by Teddy Roosevelt as a way to combat the horrible things that go bump in the night. And it's basically a bounty table. The government pays you for killing certain evil things, like zombies. Let's say it's a normal human slow zombie. It's a $5,000 bounty for killing one. Okay. But if there's a necromancer animating it and you go kill that necromancer, it's $120,000 roughly, or basically depending on what they're doing.
So not only are you getting to kill monsters, but you're getting fat loot.
Yeah,
Fat
absolutely.
Loot, yes.
Okay.
If you survive, you can, retire and go buy your island.
I could totally see a video game out of this.
It almost makes you wish zombies were real and you could really do that.
Because you could totally just bag a zombie and go to Gen Con.
Exactly.
Bag one zombie a year and I'm set.
Instead of an oil-based economy, it would be a zombie-based economy.
That's right.
Yeah. But it's also a shadow thing because 90% of the populace is completely unaware that these things exist.
Well,
You almost need I'm glad you brought that up. In almost every horror genre build game, that is a fact.
But there's a government agency to keep it that way called the Monster Control Bureau. Usually after your incident, you're approached by the Monster Control Bureau and basically told, if you talk to anyone about this, you're going to have a horrible accident. Or say you have an encounter with a werewolf. They basically sit at the end of your hospital bed with a gun in their hand to make sure you don't turn. And once the test comes back or whatever, if you haven't turned, then
They may or may not kill you.
yeah, they basically say, okay, don't mention this ever again, or you'll be either made out to be a crackpot and put in an asylum, or there will be a horrible, horrible accident and you'll never be heard from again.
so these guys on Finding Bigfoot, those are all crackpots that didn't listen to the government.
Sure.
Because they're all freaking morons.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
The really smart ones find Bigfoot and they're off living in peace somewhere.
We're having sex with Bigfoot.
That's right.
Like Steve Austin. Right.
And on that note,
Wow.
And goodbye.
Some things you cannot unsee. Thank you, Jason.
Tell me Sasquatch was a chick.
I think we'll wrap it up there, and we'll see you guys next week.
Follow us on Twitter.
We are at Gamers Table.
Like us on Facebook.
Listen to us on iTunes.
While you're there, write us a review.
You can also find us on Windows Marketplace.
Or on Stitcher.
Got a comment or question about the show?
Visit our website, gamerstable.com.
You can comment right there on the episode page.
Or you can send us an email, feedback@gamerstable.com.
Make sure you go to rpgpodcast.com and recommend this episode.
Interested in being a featured sponsor of Gamers Table? Email us, marketing@gamerstable.com.
If you like what you hear, click on our PayPal donate button. It keeps us coming back each week.
Thank you for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Tuesday. Properties discussed during this podcast are the exclusive rights of their respective owners. Gamers Table is a registered trademark property of Side Tangent Productions.